Score is New York 5, Pittsburgh 4. Seventh inning, Clete Boyer takes a strike. Boyer popped to second and lined to second. Strike 2. And Whitey Ford has gone down to the Yankee bullpen. There's a drive in left center. Skinner chasing it, and Burden makes the catch. One away in the seventh. And little Bobby Shantz coming up. The crowd responds with some applause. There's Whitey Ford. Seventh inning, one away. Low outside, ball one. New York 5, Pittsburgh 4. It's the first of the seventh. Bobby Richardson on deck. It's a high foul to the left of the plate, out of play. Pirates got 2 runs in the first, 2 in the second. The Yankees 1 in the fifth and 4 in the sixth. With homers by Skowron and Berra accounting for 4 of the runs driven in. Mantle single drove in the other. High, ball 2, 2-1. Roy Face in relief of Vernon Law. 5-4 New York in the seventh inning. There's a bouncer over Hope's head down the left field line for a base hit. Bobby turns first and will hold up as Skinner whips a good throw back into Mazeroski. Bobby Shantz bounces a single over the drawn-in Don Hope. And now coming to bat is Bobby Richardson. Line to short, line to left, and single to center. One away. One on. Holding him on. It's low for a ball. Pirate bullpen busy. One of them is Bob Friend. One away. It's right over for a strike, 1-1. Yankees 5, Pirates 4 in the seventh inning. Final game of the 1960 World Series. Harvey Haddix is warming up along with Friend. A line drive, and it is foul down the right field line. Into the Pirate bullpen. And you see Bob Friend, the right-hander, warming up. Shantz walks slowly back to first base. Whitey Ford, who was warming up, sits down. A 1-2 count on Bobby in a tense ball game. The winner to be the world champion. 5-4 New York. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A high foul out of play off to the left of the plate. Smokey Burgess had a quick word with Roy Face. One out, a 1-2 count on the batter. Shantz on first. Richardson bounces it to Hope. And that's all. Force out at second on Bobby Shantz. Hope to Mazeroski. I don't know whether Maz would have had a chance for a double play or not. It appeared as if he skidded moving into the bag to take the throw. 2 away in the seventh, and here's Tony Kubek, who popped to second, popped to short, and drew the walk that forced the replacement of Law by Face. Yankees 5, Pirates 4, seventh inning. 2 down. Inside, ball 1. Pirate bullpen busy. Face is the scheduled 4th batter in the last of the 7th. Holding Richardson close. Bobby bluffed to break towards second and had to hurry back. 2 down. There's a line drive in the right field. Palmetti there and grounded. Side is retired. 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on, and so at the end of 6.5 innings, the score is New York 5, Pittsburgh 4. In the last half of the 7th inning, Smokey Burgess will lead off, Don Hoke on deck, and Bill Mazeroski to follow. Bobby Shantz, who came on the scene in the 3rd inning, getting ready to work, with Jim Coates and Ralph Terry throwing in the Yankee bullpen. Friend and Haddix warming up in the Pirate bullpen. Last half of the 7th inning, New York 5, Pittsburgh 4. Burgess singled in the 2nd inning and grounded out to second in the 4th. Curveball is over. Strike 1. Terry on your left, Coates on your right in the Yankee bullpen. Friend on your left and Haddix on your right in the Pirate bullpen. No balls, 1 strike. Smokey Burgess, the batter. Curveball is lashed into center for a base hit. Burgess opens the 7th with a single to center. And Joe Christopher will go in to run for Burgess. Joe Christopher. From the Virgin Islands, he's a speed merchant. Don Hoke steps up, walked and grounded to second. Inside, ball 1 with a fastball. Yankees 5, Pirates 4, last of the 7th. Skowron holding against Christopher. That almost hit him inside. Ball 2, 2-0. Don Hoke, the batter, taking a look down at third base coach Frank Osiak. Coates and Terry heating up. Brendan Haddix for Pittsburgh. 7th inning. 5-4 New York. Christopher running for Burgess on first. Nobody out. And it's inside for ball 3. 3-0. Three balls, no strikes. Strike 1, 3-1. Joe Christopher running for Smokey Burgess. A 3-1 count on Don Hope. Nobody out. Last of the 7th. 5-4 New York. Final game of the World Series. It's foul tip. Strike 2. Full count now on Hope. .6 Bobby Shantz pitching to Don Hope. Full count, nobody out. Last of the seventh. New York 5, Pittsburgh 4. Christopher has a good lead off first. Bobby tossing easily over to the bag. Bill Mazeroski is on deck. Hoke asks for time. Granted by Bill Jakowski. Anything to rattle the pitcher. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. Christopher on first. There he goes, and the ball is lying in the left. Berra moves over and grabs it, and Christopher has to turn and race back to first. Hoke lines out to Berra in left. And now coming up is Bill Mazeroski. Beat out a bunt in the second inning, hopped to short in the fourth. Casey studying the situation as Mazeroski comes up. And now Casey's going out to the mound. Boyer and Blanchard talking to Bobby Shantz. Casey asking him how he's feeling, and now he's asking for Johnny Blanchard's thoughts.
Come on, man, it's over the clock.
Casey started away and goes back. Just stay with him. Five to 4 New York, last of the seventh. Joe Christopher on first base, 1 out. Bill Mazeroski the batter. 5 to 4 New York. There's a bouncer hit toward Kubek, over to Richardson, back on to Skowron. It's a double play, and the side is retired. The score is New York 5 and Pittsburgh 4.
You are watching this MLB Network special presentation, Game 7 of the 1960 World Series, brought to you with limited commercial interruptions by Chevrolet. Now to the top of the 8th.
Maris fouled out the third, line to right, and fouled out the third. Roy Face pitching for Pittsburgh. His little dribbler, and Face grabs it nicely. 1 away. Up comes Mickey Mantle, who flied to right center, single to right, and single to center. Drove in 1 run and scored 1. Joe DeMaestri goes down to the Yankee bullpen to loosen up, which might indicate his going in to play short, and Kubek moving to left. 5 to 4 New York. It's the first half of the 8th inning. Inside, ball 1.
Come on now, Roy. Him.
A line drive to short. Joe grabs it, and they're 2 away. And here comes Yogi Berra, who grounded to third, flied to right, and then hit a towering drive down the right field line for a 3-run homer in the 6th inning. Stayed just inside the pole. 5 to 4 New York. High, ball 1. Tension riding on every pitch in this final game of the World Series. High and inside, 2-0. Yogi Berra, who has a lot of World Series records to his credit, and timely hits. Roy Face in his 4th appearance in this World Series has a count of 2-0 on Berra. It's a high pop foul to the right of the plate and out of play. A 2-1 count. Yankees 5, Pirates 4, 8th inning. 2 away, nobody on. A 2-1 count on Berra. Foul ball down the first base line, carrying off the field boxes into right field. This World Series is being brought to you in color exclusively on NBC TV. Two balls, strikes, 2 outs. Foul back. Count remains 2-2. Yogi's 3-run homer tied him with Lou Gehrig for most runs batted in a World Series career, 35. Outside, ball 3. Full count, 3-2. Bill Skowron on deck. Two away, nobody on. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 4, high and inside. Yogi Berra draws a walk. First given up by Face. And that brings to the plate Bill Skowron. Grounded to short. Led off with a home run in the 5th inning. Fouled out to 3rd in the 6th. Yankees have 7 hits. The Pirates 5. Homers by Rocky Nelson, Bill Skowron, Yogi Berra. 2 away. There's a high bouncer to Hoke. It plays over to second base, safe. Hoke's only play as he went back for that high bouncer. And it is scored as a base hit for Skowron. That is his 12th series hit, tying a World Series record for most hits in the series. Now coming up is John Blanchard. Blanchard hit to the box, flied to center, and grounded to first. Yankees 5, Pirates 4, 8th inning. 2 away. Berra moves off second, Skowron off first. Outside, ball 1. Yogi on second, Skowron on first. Eighth inning, 5-4 New York.
Come on, Elroy, let's get this third one.
2 men out. Roy Face pitching to Johnny Blanchard. It's a high foul out of play off first base. And the count is 1-1. Yogi eases back to second, Skowron on first. Moose tied the record for most hits in a World Series. Billy Martin had 12 in 1953 in 6 games. Edgar Rice had 12 with Washington in 1925, and John Martin in 1931 with the Cardinals in 7 games. Charlie Herzog and Joe Jackson did the same in 8 games. There's a line drive, and it's into right center field for a base hit. Berra turns third, comes in to score. Blanchard round second, heads for third as the ball was bobbled momentarily by Clemente. Johnny Blanchard singles to right center, putting the Yankees ahead 6-4. Scoring Berra, sending Skowron to third, and bringing up Clete Boyer, who popped to second, lined to second, and flied to left center. Bob Friend gets up to throw again for Pittsburgh.
Come on, Elroy, let's get out of there.
2 out in the 8th. There's a line drive down the left field line, and it is a fair ball. Skowron scores. Blanchard round second, heads for third. He holds up there as the relay comes on into the plate. Skinner to Hoke into Smith. It's a double for Clete Boyer to left field. Driving in, Bill Skowron with the second run in the inning, and it is 7-4 New York. And the batter now is Bobby Shantz, who popped out in the 5th inning to first and singled to left in the 7th. With 2 outs, the Yankees have rallied for 2 in the 8th inning and lead 7-4. Runners on 2nd and 3rd, 2 away. Outside, ball 1. Johnny Blanchard on 3rd. Clete Boyer on 2nd. 2 men out. It's in there for a strike, 1-1. Pace came in to relieve Law in the 6th inning. The high pop-up off to the right of the plate, foul, and it is out of play in behind the Pirate dugout. Johnny Blanchard returning to 3rd. Clete Boyer to 2nd. 6 hits off base. The Yankees have had 10 altogether. One ball, 1 strike. 2 down in the 8th inning. 2 runs in. 7-4 New York. Outside, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 2 in, 2 on. Final game of the World Series at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. Blanchard leads off 3rd, Boyer off 2nd, and Shantz hits a bouncer, and it is a foul ball over the head of Don Hope. Bobby often chops the ball like that. It went foul. Would have sent 2 men home otherwise. Blanchard returning to 3rd, Boyer to 2nd. Frank Crosetti chirping down there at 3rd base. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Blanchard leads off 3rd, Boyer off 2nd. Bobby Shantz takes it low outside, ball 3, blocked by Hal Smith. Bobby Richardson on deck. Full count on Shantz. Blanchard leads off 3rd, Boyer off 2nd. 2 away, and Bobby Shantz hits a foul down the first baseline, which Ralph Houck knocks down. 2 runs in the 8th inning. New York 7, Pittsburgh 4. Blanchard moves off 3rd, Boyer off 2nd. 2 away. 3-2 count on Shantz, and he hits a liner into right center. Clemente goes over and grabs it. The side's retired. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left on, and so at the end of 7.5 innings, the score is New York 7, Pittsburgh 4. Gino Cimoli will bat for Roy Face. Bill Burton on deck and Dick Grope to follow. For you late viewers, the Pirates scored 2 runs in each of the first 2 innings. The Yankees picked up 1 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th, and 2 in the 8th. Yankees 7, Pirates 4, 8th inning. Terry and Coates in the Yankee bullpen. Bob Friend loosening up for Pittsburgh, along with Harvey Haddix. Gino Cimoli's had 4 for 19 in the series. Batting for Roy Face. Strike 1, slow curve. Last of the 8th. High, ball 1, 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. Screwball over, strike 2, 1-2. Bobby Shantz came on in the 3rd inning and has pitched magnificently in relief. Turley and Stafford being the first two Yankee pitchers. Turley being charged with 3 runs and Stafford 1. 7-4 New York, last of the 8th in the final game of the World Series. Gino Cimoli batting for Roy Face. A count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. Curve is fouled back out of play. Count remains 1-2. This is the 57th World Series and the 17th to be decided in 7 games. High fastball, 2-2 count. The outfield shading Cimoli a little toward right and center and right. Berra just a touch toward left center. Pirate fans start that rhythmic hand clapping. Curve is looped into right field and it drops for a base hit. And Cimoli opens the 8th with a pinch hit, single to right. The second hit given up by Bobby Shantz. Here's Bill Burton. Fly to left, single to right to drive in 2 runs and grounded to second. It's in there, strike 1. There's the ground ball hit to short, knocked, and it hits Kubek in the face, and all hands are safe. The ball took a hard hop. A double play ball bounced up and hit him in the face, all hands safe. And Bobby Richardson goes over quickly. Now Johnny Blanchard comes out, trainers Joe Soares and Gus Mouch. And now Casey Stengel runs out. Clete Boria moves on to the scene. Bobby Shantz got him to come up with what appeared to be the double play ball. It took the hop and hit Kubek in the face. I don't know whether it hit him in the Adam's apple, around the chin, or just where. Casey at the moment's blocking your view and mine. And he signals over to the Yankee bullpen, I believe, for Joe DeMaestri. Tony's getting up. Joe DeMaestri just to the left of Kubek. Tony wants to stay in. Casey wants to make sure. Mickey Mantle comes in facing you. Tony doesn't want to go out. He's trying to convince Casey that he's all right, and Casey says, look, if you're not, let's not be a hero in that sense. Casey says, I've got somebody to take over. And so Tony Kubek is leaving. Tony Kubek, who's had a great series. He had 10 hits in the series. Bill Burton is credited with the single. And the bad hop now has given the Pirates a new lease on life with 2 on and nobody out, when it appeared for a moment as if there would be 2 out and nobody on. And Joe DeMaestri will go in to play short. Gino Cimoli is on second, Bill Burton on first, and the batter is Dick Grote. Bob Skinner on deck and Rocky Nelson to follow. New York 7, Pittsburgh 4 in the last of the 8th. Nobody out. Tying run at the plate. Grote popped to short, grounded to third, line to the box. Curveball over, strike 1. Blanchard goes out saving to Bobby Shantz. Terry and Coates continue to warm up for New York.
Just a little bingo, Dick.
Cimoli leads off second, Burton off first. Inside, ball 1, 1-1. The last half of the 8th inning. Pirates get the first 2 men aboard. Yankees 7, Pittsburgh 4. There's a shot to left field for a base hit. Cimoli rounds third, comes in to score. The throw into third, and Burton stops at second, and it's 7-5. And Casey Stengel is out of the dugout as Dick Grote comes up with his 6th hit and his 2nd run batted in. It's 7-5, nobody out. Bobby Shantz victimized by the bad hop. Will now depart. And Jim Coates will be coming in. Burton on second. Grote on first. Skinner walked, grounded to first, line to right. Nelson on deck, Clemente to follow. The ball is bunted toward third. Boyer plays it to Skowron for the sacrifice, moving the tying runs in the scoring position. Burton to third and Grote to second. And the batter is Rocky Nelson, who belted a 2-run homer in the first inning, walked in the third and grounded to first in the 6th. It's the last of the 8th inning. The Pirates have the tying runs in scoring position. Final game of the World Series. Burton on third, Grote on second, 1 out. Jim Coates in relief of Bobby Shantz. Inside and low, almost a wild pitch. Ball 1. Louis Arroyo gets up to throw along with Ralph Terry now for New York. Burton on third, Grote on second. Pirates lashing back here in the 8th inning. Runners lead away from second and third. Rocky Nelson swings and lifts a high fly ball into short right. Burton tags and holds up as the throw comes all the way in perfectly to Blanchard. Nelson flies to Maris with no advance. And now the batter is Roberto Clemente. Popped to second, grounded to second in a double play and hit to the box. Hal Smith on deck. 2 away in the last of the 8th. New York 7, Pittsburgh 5. On third and Grote on second, and Clemente at bat, and Jim Coates in relief of Bobby Shantz. Coates, the 4th Yankee pitcher, following Turley and Stafford and Shantz. The boy from Village, Virginia, with runners on second and third. Clemente fouls it to the right of the plate, out of play. Strike 1. Now Casey runs out of the dugout to talk to Coates. Two away now in the last of the eighth. One run in for Pittsburgh. Yankees leading 7-5. Burden on third, Grote on second. Roberto Clemente at bat. Outfield deep, straight away. No balls, one strike. Burden leads off third. Grote off second. 2 outs. Roberto Clemente lifts a foul out of play to the right of the plate up onto the roots. Strike 2, 0-2. Burden returning to third, Grote to second. In this peak moment in World Series drama. There is no tomorrow. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Burden leads off third, Grote off second. New York 7, Pittsburgh 5. Bob Clemente hits a little dribbler foul and hit it off the handle and cracked his bat. The bat boy brought out a couple, but Clemente wants still another. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Burden on third, Grote on second. 7-5 New York. Clemente takes it low outside. Ball 1, 1-2. Hearts race and pulses pound here in this last half of the 8th inning, the final game of the World Series. Burden moves off third, Grote off second. 1 ball, 2 outs, 7-5 New York. Runners widen their leads. And Clemente hits a soft dribbler towards Skowron, and nobody's going to get over. Bases loaded. Check that. 1 run came in on the play. Burden came on from third. Grote went to third. It is 7 now to 6. With runners on first and third as Clemente beat out a slow bouncer to Skowron. And here's Hal Smith coming up. Bill Burden scored. Grote went to third. Hal Smith steps in. He's singled in the 7th. It's in there for a strike. Dick Grote on third. Clemente on first. High for a ball, 1-1. Clemente beating out the roller to Skowron. Scoring Burden. Grote moves to third. Strike as he took a good cut. Christopher went in to run for Burgess, who had singled in the 7th inning. Burgess started the game and had 2 for 3. Tying run on third. Clemente on first. 2 away. Hal Smith. He started a swing and held off. 2-2. Dick Grote on third base. Bob Clemente on first base. 2 runs in. 7-6 New York. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Hal Smith hits a drive to deep left field. The ball is way back out there, going. breaks loose at Forbes Field. The fans go wild in Pittsburgh as Hal Smith slams a long drive, 425 feet over the left field wall, scoring Grote and Clemente ahead of him. 5 runs in, and it is 9-7 in favor of Pittsburgh. And Ralph Terry is coming in to replace Jim Coates. Coates pitched 2/3 of an inning, giving up 2 hits. A 3-run homer by Hal Smith, and they are going wild here at Forbes Field as the Pirates have come from behind. They led 4-0 at the end of 2. 4-1 end of 5. Trailed 5-4 at the end of 6, and 7-4 at the end of 7.5. And Hal Smith comes through with a dramatic 2-out, 3-run homer off Jim Coates, and the Pirates are out in front, 9-7. Three runs in this inning, charged to Chance and 2 to Coates. And so Jim Coates is the pitcher of record. One of the most dramatic base hits in the history of the World Series. In the inning, Somoli opened with a single. Burden's bouncer to short, hit Kubek in the face, and Grote singled in a run. A sacrifice put runners on second and third. A fly ball kept the runners there. Clemente beat out an infield hit to get the second run home in the inning. And Hal Smith, who had taken over for Burgess after Christopher had run for Burgess in the 7th, belts one of the most dramatic home runs ever hit in a World Series. This one is for the money, and it's 9-7 in favor of Pittsburgh. Now here's Don Hope with Ralph Terry coming in to relieve Jim Coates. Outside, ball 1. That base hit will long be remembered. A curveball over for a strike. Hal Smith, born in West Frankfort, Illinois, lives in Livonia, Michigan, and at one time was Yankee property. Traded to Baltimore, to Kansas City, and then to Pittsburgh. There's another fly ball into left field. Berra moving under it. And the side is retired. 5 runs in, and it is 9-7 in favor of Pittsburgh.
Okay, Hal Smith, you got to be thinking, that's your only at-bat of the game because you replaced Smokey Burgess. In about 3 more outs, I'm going to be a household name. My picture's going to be on the front page, forget about the Courier and the Post-Gazette, of every newspaper in America, right?
I guess. I really didn't think about it a lot. I did after. I really didn't know what happened until I ran second base. When I went around second base and I looked up in the stands and people were on the dugouts and doing it, and I said, "What the heck have I done?" And I get home and Dick Grote and Clemente both lift me up in the air, and I was absolutely overwhelmed. And I thought, that no matter what happened, I had really helped in a World Series, and it had been my lifelong dream.
You know, it's not often that a note pays dividends half a century later, but they stood for you again 50 years later.
No, they're great. They're great people.
Dick, one of the things that I noticed in being around you guys last night at dinner, you guys stayed together for a long time as a team. Players didn't move around as much as they tend to today. Bonds were formed that still endure 50 years later.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. We've been together 3 or 4 times this summer, and it's like we've never been apart. The 50 years went by, having gone through the pennant race in 58, and then again in 60, you develop bonds and a closeness and a friendship that never goes away the rest of our lives. And thank God I played with all these guys. They were really special.
Bill, you were saying last night how often this Pirate team came from behind. So you'd led 4-0. Now you're down 7-4 going to the bottom of the 8th. But a couple dozen times during the course of a pennant-winning season, it seemed that you guys came back. There was a game against the Reds in April. You're down 5-0 in the bottom of the 9th and get 6 runs at Forbes Field to win the game 6-5. So you guys were used to getting up off the deck.
It wasn't just a couple dozen. It was about 30 to 35 times that we came from behind in the 8th and 9th inning. I mean, we never gave up. And after this happened several times, you just keep thinking it's going to happen. And it did.
Now, Bobby, a couple of things had to happen and go against the Yankees to set the stage for the Hal Smith home run. First of all, looked like an easy double play ball that Bill hit. It was a sharply hit ball, but it was right at Tony Kubek, and then it takes a wicked hop. We're going to take a look at it again. Tell me about the play, and then first you could see that you were very concerned. Tony was your roommate and your double play partner, and he seemed to be seriously hurt. Here it is.
Well, the ball really was hit hard, and that was why we had a chance for a double play, because with Bill's speed, we still could have gotten him, but the ball hit that hard. But the reason that they took Tony out, he couldn't catch his breath. He couldn't breathe, and that Stingler would like for him to stay, and Tony wanted to stay, but he couldn't catch his breath, and he had to go inside. And they put him in the hospital. Dick went to see him a couple days later and visited Tony in the hospital. But that was a turning point, and one other play there when
Coates didn't cover first.
When Coates didn't cover first base. And
on the ball Clemente hit.
Yes, 2 outs.
Now, a bad hop is one thing, and I guess there's a statute of limitations on any kind of crime, but even 50 years later, I sense a gnashing of teeth. You know, bad hop isn't a guy's fault, but when a pitcher doesn't cover first on a bouncing ball to first, that's just not right.
They work on that a lot in spring training, isn't that right? But I've got to be honest, when I looked at it, he was going for the ball. And if somehow Scowen could have realized that, I could have fielded the play and made it to Scowen. But it was one of those plays that just happened.
Kind of in between?
In between. That's exactly right.
So maybe we're being too hard on,
I think so.
on Jim Coates. Bill.
Comeback is the better thing.
Talk about that play, the bad hop. When I hit it, I said, oh, shoot. Yeah. Maybe not in those words, but it was an automatic double play if it hadn't taken a bad hop.
Hit it hard.
Casey had Whitey Ford warming up. Now, he had pitched a complete game shutout the day before, but he did get up. We saw him briefly in the bullpen. Why didn't Casey use Whitey in that 8th inning, at least for a few batters?
Good question. I don't know.
What do you recall anything that Casey said? We saw him out there. He goes to the mound. It looks like he's more exhorting the pitcher than he is, dealing in any specific strategy.
I'm not sure it was about baseball, but it might have been double talk.
All right, so what did you say? What was the conversation like with Kubek when you eventually visited him in the hospital?
Well, ironically, I've talked to Tony many, many times, Bobby, because we played the Yankees in spring quite often. But I always had a uniform on and a hat. I went up to the hospital. I had to have my wrist x-rayed the next day after the 7th game. And I said, I'll go up and see how Tony Kubek's doing. I walked in the room, and he looked at me like, who are you? And I said, Tony, I've always had a hat on. Maybe you didn't realize I'm bald. I'm Dick Groat. He said, oh, my God. He said, and then I just checked on him. He was doing fine. He was going to go home very shortly after that. But he had no idea who I was when I walked in the room.
All right, so the Pirates have taken a 9-7 lead going to the top of the 9th inning. But this game is not exactly over. Back to Mel Allen.
And it is 9-7 in favor of Pittsburgh. Bob Friend comes in. He made 2 starts. This is his first relief appearance. And the batter is Bobby Richardson, 1 for 4. Strike 1. And the crowd will roar now with every strike and with every putout. Pittsburgh fans have waited 33 years for this. There's a looper into left field, and it drops in there for a base hit. Bobby Richardson on with a single to left to open the 9th inning for New York. Bobby's 11th hit in the series. And Dale Long is coming out to hit in place of Joe DeMaestri, who had gone in to replace Kubek, who was hit in the face by the bouncer. Whitey Ford starts to loosen up in the Yankee bullpen. The Pirates opened up the bad bounce that got Kubek out of the game into 5 runs to take the lead. 9-7 here in the 9th inning. Dale Long batting for Joe DeMaestri. They foul off to the left of the plate. Strike 1. Long is nothing for 2 in the series. Pittsburgh 9, New York 7, 9th inning, final game. Richardson on first. High, ball 1, 1-1. Mizell warming up in the Pirate bullpen. There's a line drive to right field for a base hit. Bobby Richardson holds at second base as Clemente gets off a tremendous throw. And out of the dugout comes Danny Murtaugh. Dale Long pinch hits a single to right. And the Yankees are fighting back here in the first of the 9th, trailing 9-7 in the final game of the World Series. And with Roger Maris due up, Danny Murtaugh signals for a left-hander. He's had 2 men warming up, and I believe it'll be Harvey Haddix who have been warming up with Mizell. Harvey Haddix coming in to pitch now for Pittsburgh in the 9th. Haddix worked game 5. That was at Yankee Stadium, a game which the Pirates won by a score of 5-2. Bob Friend departs. Low, ball 1. Richardson on second, Long on first. Maris looks a pop-up. Foul. Hal Smith is under it. One away.
This really is exciting. It really is.
Now coming up is Mickey Mantle, who flied to right center, single to right, single to center, and line to short. 2 for 4, 1 run batted in. Yogi Berra on deck. Pittsburgh leading 9-7 in the ninth inning of the final game. Harvey Haddix coming in to relieve Bob Friend. It's been Law and Face and Friend and Haddix. Richardson on second. Long on first and one away. Ball one low outside. Outfield deep straight away. George Witt loosening up in the Pirate bullpen. Richardson on second, Long on first, one away. There's a line drive in the right center field for a base hit. Richardson will score. Long around second and goes on into third. And it's 9-8 as Mantle comes through with his third hit. And second run batted in the game. And it's 9-8 with Yogi Berra coming up. Eleven runs batted in this series by Mantle. And Yogi Berra coming up with Dale Long on third base. Mantle on first, one out in the ninth. Pirates 9, the Yankees 8. One out. Ball one outside. Harvey Haddix trying to keep that ball low on Yogi. And now Casey calls time and will send in a runner for Dale Long. It'll be Gil McDougall.
For New York, number 12, Gil McDougall, running for Dale Long. Gil McDougall.
Pittsburgh 9, New York 8. Ninth inning, one out. McDougall on third, Mantle on first, Berra at bat. One ball, no strikes. One out. Final game of the World Series. Runners lead away from first and third. Outside, ball two, 2-0. Harvey Haddix working carefully. McDougall on third, running for Long. Mantle on first. Pirates leading 9-8. One out in the ninth inning. And there's a shot grab by Nelson. Steps on first, and Mantle gets back to first. He's safe, and McDougall scores the tying run on an amazing turn of events. On a hard shot by Berra. Nelson grabbed the ball, stepped on first, and Mantle, with quick thinking, stopped in his tracks, slid underneath the tag, got back to first as McDougall scored the tying run. How about that? And so what appeared to be the game-ending double play results in the tying run, and 4 runs batted in the game for Berra. Mantle on first, 2 outs, and the batter is Bill Skowron. Yogi sets a new World Series record, 36 RBIs total series. Low, ball one. And so the bad hop bouncer that hit Kubek and helped lead the way for 5 for Pittsburgh is countered by an oddity at first base. Two away. There's the bouncer hit to short, and the force at second on Mantle. For New York, 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors. And so at the end of 8.5 innings, the score is New York 9, Pittsburgh 9.
Okay, so this game has just about everything. And now we have this play at first base. And there's no replay. You don't get a second angle. We're going to show it again in slow motion in a minute. You don't get a second angle, though, or a different angle. There is no analyst. Mel Allen is working alone. And so there's nobody, Bobby, to question what Mickey did. It worked because he dived back in successfully. His athleticism paid off. He gets in ahead of the tag. McDougald scores. But if he just gets in a rundown, McDougald's going to score for sure. What was he thinking?
Well, you visited with Tony this weekend, and I called and we talked on the phone, and Tony said that Mickey called him in the hospital right about the time you went to see him, just to check on him. And Tony asked him about the play, and he said, I just froze. He said, I just didn't know what to do. But his instincts, as you mentioned, kicked in, and he made that wonderful dive back in. The proper thing would be to get halfway and just give the third base runner time to score. But Mickey just froze, but he made a great slide, and the tag was not there. So we tied it up.
Let's watch it again. If he's tagged out, the ball had been hit so sharply, and Nelson steps on first so quickly, no way McDougald is across home plate before he would have been tagged out. The game would have been over. Right. One more look. I mean, it's an amazing bit of business here, but what are you thinking, Dick?
Well, all I know is I'm covering second base, and the ball didn't come to me. And even that's the strangest angle we've seen any of it before, that the ball was hit so hard, and Rocky made a magnificent play, took him right to the bag, and it just, from that point on, I don't know what Mickey was thinking about, but he sure worked out well for him.
Bill, from your vantage point, what are you thinking from center field?
I thought possibly that Mick thought that he caught it in the air.
Yeah.
And it would be forced out.
Right.
And then when it turned out that he didn't catch it in the air, and then because Mick is so agile, he just beat us at our own game on that one.
So here we are, 9-9. One thing I'd like to point out, though, I said, Bobby, that this game and this World Series had just about everything. But there was one thing with, to this point, 18 runs scored. One thing this game did not have. You go ahead.
Nobody struck out in this ball game. Yeah.
Nobody.
Okay.
Not a single strikeout in the entire game. All right, so here we are. It's 9-9, and we're back for the fateful bottom of the ninth right after this.
I was just sitting there and thinking about how in the world we're going to beat these guys and what's going to happen here. And somebody yelled, "You're up." I forgot I was up. And somebody yelled, "You're up." So that's when I went and got my helmet and went up and hit.
We are back and just about set to throw it back 50 years. Bottom of the ninth. The Yankees have come back again to tie it 9-9. Bill Mazeroski is the leadoff man in the last half of the ninth at Forbes Field, October 13th, 1960. Ralph Terry on the mound for the Yankees. Mel Allen at the mic.
Ralph Terry on the mound. Sudden death now, last of the ninth. 9-9. Ball one outside.
Just get on, Billy, just get on. Bring your out.
Johnny Blanchard and Ralph Terry having a little discussion. There's the drive into deep left field. Look out now. That ball is going down. Where's going to Mazeroski hits it over the left field fence for a home run, and the Pirates win it 10-9. Bill Mazeroski leading off in the last of the ninth. Hits his second homer of this World Series. And in a final game that was dominated by homers, Hal Smith's three-run explosion in the eighth, Mazeroski in the ninth, Rocky Nelson in the first, Scarrett in the fifth, and a three-run homer by Berra in the sixth. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are acclaimed the champions of the world. And the final score, the Pirates 10 runs, 11 hits, no errors. The Yankees 9 runs, 13 hits, 1 error.
All right. Now you've seen the whole game, Bill, every pitch of the game, 50 years later. Your thoughts?
I'm glad I was there. No, that was just typical of our whole 1960 year. That's the way our year went. Everything went our way.
Bobby, as the game moved to the bottom of the eighth and into the top of the ninth, I heard you lean over and say to Dick Grote, "Boy, this is exciting."
It really was exciting. And my thoughts were, well, let's hold them so we'll have a chance to score in the 10th. Didn't work out that way.
Yogi said he thought it was going to hit off the ivy. He was ready to play the carom, but it went over the wall.
Yeah.
Afterwards, in the Yankee clubhouse, Mantle was in tears.
Was.
Because he felt, with no disrespect intended, that the Yankees were the better team, and he just couldn't believe that they had lost.
But they really came back. Every time they were behind, they came back. It was a good year for Pittsburgh.
Dick, it's one thing. It's one thing to win the World Series. That's great enough. On top of it, bottom of the ninth in this improbable fashion. But you beat the Yankees. That takes it to a different place.
No doubt about it. There's no question the Yankee organization was the finest organization in all of baseball. They just dominated the American League. And even in spring training, when we'd play another American League team, they were going to spring training to see who was going to finish second, because they just conceded the Yankees were stronger. And to beat the Yankees makes it something special. There's a guy standing out there that made a great catch. He knows what it's like to win a special game. Am I right, Franco?
But it's not fair for Dick to say that, because in '64, 4 years later, with the Cardinals, he beat the Yankees again.
Oh, that's right. You were the shortstop for the Cardinals when they beat the Yankees in '7 and '64.
That made it double the best thing in the world. When you beat the best, it's something special. And again, this was, as Bill Mazeroski and Bill Burden and I have said numerous times when we've been together, the 1960 Pirates were a team of destiny. Everything seemed to fall in place for us. We were just supposed to win. And ironically, watching the films of this game, we've seen the earlier highlights. I was never conscious playing there all those years how awful that infield looked, but it sure paid off.
Folks, we thank all of you fans for being here, all of our special guests for being here. As we close things out, we're going to roll the post-game show, which is illuminating and entertaining in its own way, if only for Bob Prince's sport coat. And it will begin with Bob Prince interviewing Warren Giles, who was then the president of the National League. But don't roll it just yet. Before we leave the Bynum Theater, once more, all of you former Pirates, stand up. These are your world champion Pittsburgh Pirates of 1960.
It shows what teamwork and guts and determination can do, because the Pirates have shown that all year. And they beat a great Yankee ball club, No question about it. Thank you very much, President Warren. Okay, well, congratulations to you, because I know how you were pulling. Oh, man, I was. Hey, Hal Smith, come up here a minute, Hal. Come up here on television, coast to coast. And, Hal, on TV a minute. Wait a minute. I want him on my TV. We're fighting photographers. Hal, a great home run you hit.
Thank you, thank you.
And we're going coast to coast. The folks want to get a good look at you, and it was a long drive.
Wonderful, boy. It was a wonderful day.
And, of course, I never thought we'd come back like we did, but come back we did, huh?
We come back just like we always did all year, didn't we?
That's right, Hal. Thank you. Here's Bill Mazeroski. Struck the game-winning blow. Hey, wasn't that something, Billy?
Oh, I can't even talk. I'm so tired.
What'd you do? You didn't have to run very far, did you, boy?
Oh,
What was the pitch you hit, Bill?
It was a high fastball.
A high fastball. That did it, and the Pirates are the world's champions for the first time since 25. Joe Brown and Don Hoke. Here's our general manager, Joe Brown. Don Hoke, want to be seen coast to coast. Tiger, a tremendous victory.
Bob, this is one of the greatest team efforts I've ever seen, I'll tell you that, and I'm awful proud to be a part of it.
Well, I know that they're all proud to have you there, and Joe Brown, what a great job you did as general manager of this fine
championship.
Guys
around you here did it, Bob.
Yeah.
God Almighty, it was just wonderful. I think it was just sheer guts against power, and the guts came through. This is, I'm speechless.
I know you are. I know how you feel. Here's Tom Johnson, Dick Groat. We're going coast to coast, Dick. I know you're real happy about
I feel wonderful, Bob. This is the greatest ball club in the world.
World's champion, Dick Groat. How's it sound?
Wonderful. It's the greatest feeling in the world to be the world champion. They thought we were dead, but we bounced back, didn't we, Bob?
Yes, you did. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dick Groat. Let me get Vern Law over here. I want to have Vern Law come over. Tom Johnson, yep. I've dropped my scorecards.
We had them all the way, didn't we? It was real easy.
This is Tom Johnson, the vice president of the Pittsburgh Ball Club. Tom, I know how happy you are.
Oh, you can see that, Bob. This is a great ball club, and everyone's done a marvelous job.
Well,
all year, and it's great to bring a championship of the world to Pittsburgh.
Well, it certainly is, and here's a guy that pitched his heart out, went as far as his left leg would go. Vern Law. Deacon, I know you were disappointed, but you're happy that you're with a world
You're not kidding, Bob. I'm feeling great right now. You betcha.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your two great victories and the way you hung in there and never cried a bit about that left ankle. I know about it.
That's fine, Bob. Thanks.
Vern Law, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Billy Burden, our fleet-footed center fielder. Wasn't that a dandy, Billy?
That was the best, Bob. I don't think there's ever been a better one.
Well, I don't know if there has been either. I'm glad that we're not getting ourselves thrown apart. Here's our winning pitcher, Harvey Haddix. Harvey, you made it two in this World Series, big boy.
Oh, it's wonderful. I've never had anything more wonderful happen to me.
Well, I know you haven't.
Bob.
Thank you. And here's
How sweet it is, Bob.
Yeah, here's our little round. Little Spanky Burgess. That's the two base hits today, and they were big ones, Smoke.
Yes,
nice
sir.
one.
Well, it's a great thrill, Bob. A big thrill.
We'll see you back next year, huh?
What do you say, Gunner?
Well, Dog, how are you? Bob Skinner, our left fielder, finally got back in action. How's that thumb?
Fine, fine. They had to get the dog in there to win, I guess.
That World's Championship changed hands real quick, didn't it?
It sure did. It's all healed now.
All right, Bob, thank you. Good luck to you. Best of luck. And here's Roy Face, who made 4 great appearances in the World Series and had the misfortune to see one go out against him by Yogi Berra. But, Roy, you didn't mind that as long as we won.
That's right. As long as the team wins, don't make a difference what happens to me. I'm happy the team won. Beat the Bucks. Can't beat the Bucks, can they? No, sir. Can't beat the Red Buffaloes, I'll tell you that.
This is Gino Samoli.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got them. They broke all the records and we won the game. How about that?
There's a good one. Broke all the records and we won the game.
We won the game, right here.
Yeah, that's it. And I'll just say thank you to everybody. I hope you fans have enjoyed hearing from these very happy world champion Pittsburgh Pirates.
There's a drive into deep left field. Look out now. That ball is going down. World Series is over. Mazeroski hits it over the left field fence for a home run, and the Pirates win it 10-9 and win the World Series.
When I hit it, I didn't know for sure if it was going out. I didn't know, it's 410 feet out there, and I hit it good, and I knew when I hit it that Yogi wasn't going to catch it, but I didn't know if it was going out or not. I heard the noise of people yelling. I looked down the left field line, and the umpire's giving it this shot, and then I hit second, and I don't think I touched first or touched the ground the rest of the way home. I just floated home. All I could think about is, we beat the Yankees, we beat the Yankees, we beat the great Yankees.
Yes, they did, in a series, a game, and with a single swing that still resonate 50 years later. Thanks for joining us for this special presentation of Game 7 of the 1960 World Series. Good night, everybody.